Reality Transurfing, Book 3, Forward to the Past, Chapter 1, The Step of Intention. Imagine an ordinary newborn human being who was put in the society where people age very slowly and live to be, say, 300 years. What do you think? How long will that baby live for? That's exactly it. I'd like to say that from his very birth, man is being accustomed to the standard scenario. Your health gets worse with age, your body grows old and finally dies. No doubt there are ordinary physiological causes to that. However, if one were to view the aging process from the position of transurfing theory, then it is nothing other than an induced transfer. One could even say the longest induced transfer. It occurs slowly but rather safely. The aging scenario is so obvious and something we are so used to that it doesn't occur to anyone to doubt it. Attempts to change the scenario will have only boiled down to the creation of all kinds of elixirs. But even progress of modern pharmacology and genetics do not yield any noticeable results. Hence, one could conclude that physiological factors only make out a certain part of the aging process. It is hard to assess what percentage constitutes induced transfer. But then again, it is not that important. The important thing is to realize how it all happens. From very early childhood, you are absolutely sure that the aging process is inevitable. Throughout your entire life, you encounter plenty of evidence to support this notion from experience of other people, but also from your personal experience. Every anniversary entails theatrical wishes for good health and a long life, but everyone knows perfectly well that these wishes aren't worth much and do not have any effect on the aging scenario. On the contrary, wishes, when translated into the language of facts, means that your health is already not what it used to be, and the years are passing by to never return. These are the slight oscillations, or to be even more precise, the flirting of a destructive pendulum. Sooner or later, you start noticing that about 10 years ago you had much more energy and strength. You want to share these thoughts with someone else. Immediately, you come across people that you can talk to, and they will happily start developing this thought. And when it comes to the topic of illness in small talk, well, it is already as popular as talking about the weather. By taking part in conversations like that, you are radiating energy on the frequency of a destructive pendulum. In other words, you are accepting its game. The pendulum could flip you its push in the shape of an illness or you feeling unwell. It worries you a lot and makes you think the following thought: I think I am getting ill. This is your response on the oscillation frequency of the pendulum. The pendulum receives your energy and pushes you again, and you start hurting even more. You go to the doctor, and he confirms that you are ill, and the process develops further. The pendulum receives your energy and starts swinging even more. When the crisis comes, the pendulum has already gotten all the energy it needed and leaves you alone, and you begin to recover, unless the induced transfer has thrown its victim onto the lifeline where you are disabled. A reasonable question. So what? Now we shouldn't even go to the doctors or take any pills and neglect our illnesses altogether? No. Refusing treatment when an illness has already advanced is not a way out of the game, but rather reckless negligence. I am talking about not letting yourself being dragged into the game. You could ask your colleague at work, how come you were absent? And he will definitely answer, I was ill. Notice that he wasn't healing, but was being ill. To the question, what's with you? There will be the answer, I am ill. Of course, having I was healing, or I am healing, as an answer to this question would be unnatural. That is because people are used to playing the game called illness. That the actual recovery is not considered a goal, but an attribute, a side effect to the game. The game with the destructive pendulum begins when you gladly accept the illness symptoms, or in other words, when you grab onto the end of the spiral of the induced transfer. You could make the first push of the pendulum fall through if you don't take the symptoms seriously. Calmly reject them and forget about them. If that doesn't work, then you can extinguish the pendulum by taking the necessary prophylactic measures. If you get sick, after all, do not play the illness game, play the healing game. Playing the illness game is the same as passive suffering, taking part in conversations about various sores and diseases, moaning, complaining, and fussily demand that others feel sorry and care for you. Playing the illness game is to consider feeling unwell to be an indispensable part of yourself, to fuss over your ill health like a child over a new toy, to readily search out and consume information related to the ailment. To play the healing game is to act energetically, to take interest in different healing methods, to try to lead a healthy lifestyle, to have a sense of humor when it comes to illness, to accentuate your attention on improving your well-being, to strive towards health and associate with like-minded people. See, these are two completely different games. In the illness game, you are acting the part of a passive victim, radiating on the frequency of the destructive pendulum. The funnel of induced transfer is sucking you in. But in the healing game, you act as a creator, an active maker and master. You are the one in control of your destiny, and thus you transfer onto healthy lifelines. Now, if you attempt to play the healing game, ask yourself, are you playing this game sincere enough? The thing is that you could be fooling yourself, as it often happens. For example, you could acknowledge with your whole mind that you need to lead a healthy lifestyle, abandon any bad habits, exercise and eat healthy foods, and so on. But in reality, your old habits are very deeply rooted, and you are trying to follow the rules of a healthy lifestyle only because that's the way it should be, while in reality, you actually don't feel like it. It is not a clean game. It is called I am ill, but others are healing me. If one were to see what this looks like on the energy plane, this kind of game would not be any different from the illness game. In that case, you are trying to play the healing game not according to your convictions, but because you are forced to. Your intention is not pure and it is not sincere. Thus, the result will be of the same kind. A wonderful illustration of such a foul game is the attempts of the representatives of the fair sex to lose weight. They torture themselves with diets, forcing themselves, I am ill, but people are healing me. They hate their weight and their figure, while you know that it is an excellent way of radiating energy on the frequency of the life track, where one's figure and weight are exactly like that. They do not like these diets. They want to eat what they are used to. If you are also playing this game, abandon this senseless way of forcing yourself. It will only give insignificant and temporary results at best. When you are forcing yourself, your subconscious is afraid. It is resisting. And in the end, it will prevail. Then expect that you will stop dieting and put on even more weight. There is only one conclusion to make. If you want to have health and beauty, change your lifestyle. That means abandoning your old habits and acquiring new ones, but not because you have to, but because that is in line with your convictions. You need to have intention, and it must be pure. You won't be able to radiate intention on the frequency of your healthy life tracks, and thus you won't be able to switch over to these tracks if you are still behaving in the same way. All of this is not as difficult as it may seem. Changing your habits is only a question of intention and time. You won't need that much time anyway. It is your choice. End section.